I'm Christina Johnson, a transformational nutrition coach, and I have a private health coaching practice, Christina Johnson Wellness. Today, I want to talk to you all about olive oil. And I'm sure you've heard before in the past that olive oil is a good fat, that you should be using it, and all of those kinds of things. But even if you've heard that before, I would encourage you to really pay attention to this video for a few reasons. So first of all, I realized over the past probably 5 or 6 years, I've almost stopped using olive oil, not completely, but pretty rarely. And part of that was due to a big misconception that I was believing. So I'm going to share with you the reasons why I stopped using it to see if that rings true with you at all. And I want to share that misconception with you. And then I want to share why I have been so excited to start using olive oil again, and kind of the reasons why I'm recommitting to using it on practically a daily basis now. And then after I share that with you, I really have come to learn and understand that not all olive oil is created equal. So I want to give you some tips on how to choose a good one from the store so that you're actually getting what you think you're getting, that you're actually going to receive the health benefits from it. So I'll give you some tips, and then I'll also just share a few ideas on how I'm planning on using olive oil within my daily diet. So I would love to hear from you though in the comments, whether you're watching live or on a replay. Will you just let me know if you are using olive oil regularly or not? And if you are, then tell me what are some of your favorite ways to use it, just even 1 or 2 ways. I would love to hear that. And then before I get started, if you think this information would be helpful to anyone else, you click the share button so we can spread this information to more people. I would really appreciate that. Okay, so here are the reasons why I've stopped using olive oil. And really, I mean, within the last 5 or 6 years, I use it sometimes on my salads, but that's really about it. And as I was thinking about it, I realized that number one, I stopped using it because I just haven't found an olive oil that I love the taste of. So I've tried lots of different brands. I bought ones from Trader Joe's and Whole Foods, but to me, they often have this smell, like a stale smell, and they just kind of taste stale or just a little bit off. There's just something about them that I just don't love. And so when I have the choice, I will always reach for something else like butter instead of olive oil because I just don't like the taste of olive oil. So that was one reason why I realized I've stopped using it over the last few years. The other second reason why I stopped using it is because of this misconception that I had. I've read in many different places from many different people that it's just not very safe to cook with olive oil, because at least on very high heats, because if you heat it up too much, the chemical structure of the oil will change and it becomes more of an inflammatory fat and becomes harmful for our health. And so again, I didn't like the taste of it that much to begin with, and then when I realized that it wasn't that safe to cook with, or thought that I learned that it wasn't safe to cook with, then I just stopped using it even more. And the last reason why I got away from using it, and this one it took me a little bit of time to think about, but I realized that when I began this whole clean eating lifestyle, 8 or 9 years ago, and I realized that saturated fat is not the evil that it was made out to be, and that it was okay to eat things like butter or ghee or red meat or coconut oil or bacon, I just realized that I liked those foods a lot better than things like olive oil. So that just became my go-to. So those are some of the reasons why I really just haven't been using it very often. But that has changed recently. So that's what I wanted to share with you, why it's changing. So first of all, going to the taste aspect of it. One of the big things the one thing that started this newfound interest in olive oil for me was when my family and I went to Italy back in November. And when we were in the Florence, Tuscany area, we went out to this small family orchard where they produced wine and olive oil. And the owner was telling us all about the process of making olive oil and the difference between extra virgin and just regular olive oil, and just, giving us a lot of information about it, which I found fascinating. But then, because it was late November, they had recently just had a harvest of their olives, and he had just made, I think within the last week or two, this fresh batch of olive oil. So he had this big vat of it, and he let us smell it and look at it. And I will tell you, it looked nothing like any oil that I can remember buying here. It had this light green color to it, and the smell just smelled so fresh and earthy. And that was when I realized, there's something different about this. So then, of course, we sampled it as well, and it just tasted so much better. It just tasted fresh, and it had a good taste to it. And so I realized that, I do like the taste of olive oil. I just don't like the stale stuff that's been sitting on the shelf or wasn't produced in a good quality way. And so, of course, I had to buy a couple bottles of the olive oil there. We had them shipped back home, and I started using those and really enjoying them, especially adding them to salads and things like that, because I liked the taste of it now. So that's the first thing that got me interested in trying olive oil again. The second thing was that so we had another vacation, my husband and I, we went to Texas this past July, just a couple weeks ago we got back, and when we were in the Texas Hill Country, we found an olive orchard there. And again, it was this small family-owned business, and so we stopped. The owner of it was giving this tour. He's super passionate about olive oil and all the benefits of it, and so I learned so much from him. But one of the things that he mentioned was that there was some research done within the last year or so that was showing that olive oil is actually one of the safest oils to cook with, because when it gets heated up, it doesn't cause cancer causing compounds like other oils. When they get heated up, they become more damaged and inflammatory. And so that really caught my attention. And so, this was just a couple weeks ago, but I've been doing a little bit of research myself and looking for some of these studies, and it does seem that the studies are showing that olive oil actually is safe to cook with. So that put my mind at ease a little bit. I'm like, okay, if I can cook with it, that's not so bad. And so that made me feel better about using olive oil. Well, here's the third reason then that's really caught my attention. And that was, again, when we were in Texas on that tour, this man was just going on and on about all the health benefits of olive oil. And when you look at, there's the book, The Blue Zone Diet, when you look at different groups of people over time that have lived the longest, one of the staples of their diet is olive oil. And so I've been doing some more research on that. Dr. Mary Flynn, she's a PhD researcher. She's got a website, medfooddiet.com, but she does a lot of study on using food as medicine. And it is pretty remarkable. I think I've heard some of this before, but it's just remarkable to realize how powerful food can be. And so some of the information through the research she's done and looked at shows that people who are eating extra virgin olive oil on a daily basis, they have lower rates of most chronic diseases. So I just printed off some information from her site, but they have lower rates of heart disease, cancer, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, and it just reduces your risk factor for a lot of those diseases as well. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's just caught my attention that, olive oil really does have some great properties to it. And I think, like I was saying, part of me over the past several years, I've just been going to all these saturated fats like butter and coconut oil because I realize it's not this evil that it was made out to be. But what I'm realizing is that, those foods do have some good nutrients in them, like grass-fed butter's got some great vitamins. But they're kind of more of a neutral food. And olive oil, I really believe, is more like a superfood. It's got just this really dense, powerful source of nutrition that can really benefit our health. And so that is the other reason why I'm really starting to incorporate olive oil on a more regular basis into my diet. But as I said, not all olive oil, kind of a tongue twister there, is created equal because, as I learned watching these two producers, the one in Italy and the one in Texas, produce olive oil, what I realized is that it's a lot of work to make olive oil. It's a labor-intensive process. It takes about 1 ton of olives to produce maybe 35 or so gallons of olive oil. So when you go to the store and you see it on the shelf for $5 or $6, most likely that's not pure extra virgin olive oil, because most people, you can't produce the olive oil properly and stay in business when you're selling it at $5 for a bottle of it. So what's happened across the world is that a lot of olive oil has actually become adulterated. So it might say extra virgin olive oil, but then it's been adulterated with other oils like soybean oil, rapeseed oil, I think canola oil is another one. So you're actually getting oils that could be harmful to you instead of healthy oils in it. The other issue is that, Spain is one of the top producer of olive oil, and then Italy's the second biggest producer. Well, their production of olives over the last 2 or 3 years, last 2 or 3 harvests, has dramatically decreased. Spain has seen 50% less yield on their olives, which means that the yields are going down. They're able to make less olive oil, but the demand is continuing to increase as people learn about all the benefits of it. So again, it's just another reason why when you go to the store and you see those cheap bottles of olive oil, it's probably not the good quality that's really going to give you these health benefits. The other issue is that olive oil can be damaged by air being exposed to oxygen and to light. So here's a couple tips to look for when you're choosing your olive oil. First of all, I would always buy olive oil that comes in a darker colored like glass bottle, like an amber colored or green colored bottle, because that's not going to let the light through as well. So when it's sitting there on the shelf, it's not going to be damaged by that constant exposure to light. So definitely look for something in a bottle, a glass darker colored bottle. But then also you want to make sure that ideally it'll have a use best by date on it. So what I found and discovered from all these olive oil experts I've talked to is that really you want to use the olive oil within 18 months of the olives being harvested. So it is important to know the really good quality olive oils will often tell you when the olives were harvested, and then that gives you an idea of when you should use the olive oil by within 18 months. Once you open your bottle of olive oil, you really want to use it within 60 days because every time you open it, it exposes it to oxygen, and then that will slowly degrade the oil over time. So ideally using it within a couple months is the best option. And then again, like I said, when you're at the store, you definitely want to look for an extra virgin olive oil, but also know that it's not well regulated, so you can't just trust what the bottle says. So I always like to do a little bit of background information. In the paleo community, there's a brand of olive oil called Casandrinos. I think they only sell it online, but that's been one that's known to be very reputable. And honestly, what I'm doing now is I found a couple like small local producers that I know that I trust, and I know they're making good quality products. And so we actually became a member of the Texas Hill, I think it's the Texas Hill Country Olive Oil Orchard. And so we're just having their olive oil shipped to us every few months. And so finding a good quality company that you trust like that and then just buying it from them regularly makes it a lot easier. So those are just a few tips, but I really do, I mean, if you are eating olive oil for the health benefits, then in my mind, it's worth it to spend a little bit more to get the good quality olive oil that I will enjoy and that actually will help benefit my health. So that's kind of the philosophy that I've adopted lately. And then, like I said, I wanted to just share a couple ideas on how to use it. And if you have ideas of your own on how you like to use olive oil, let me know. I make all of my salad dressings from scratch anymore, and I always use olive oil in them. So that's probably my favorite way, or just drizzling it over the salad. Using it as a marinade on things like chicken can be really good, or shrimp. You can saute with it, add it to your vegetables. I made a coleslaw the other night and just poured the sauce for the coleslaw was lime juice and olive oil. So there's all different kinds of sauces and marinades and salad dressings that you can use olive oil with. So I hope this was helpful for you, that you got some new information about olive oil, or that you're just inspired to start using it again on a regular basis. Because, you know, when you do look at the research on all the different health benefits that there are, I mean, the fact that almost every people group that lives the longest includes olive oil in their diet should tell us something. And so when you're eating for health and when you want to use food to really fuel and nourish your body, then this is a great way to do it, is to start incorporating more olive oil into your diet. So if you have questions about that, feel free to let me know. And if you just want help overall using food as medicine, using food to really have this healthy lifestyle and to create a healthy lifestyle that you can stick with long term, then feel free to reach out to me. That's what I do with my coaching clients. I help guide them through the process of making lifestyle changes step by step so that it feels easy and not overwhelming, and that you can dramatically change how you feel and get to a healthy weight and have so much more energy, all by just making some simple changes to how you're eating. So if that is something that you would like help with, then feel free to reach out. We can schedule a complimentary consultation where we can figure out if one of my coaching programs would be a great fit for you. Until next week, I hope you have a great week, and I encourage you to start using your olive oil. Bye for now.